This is the Sam Malone Show, brought to you by Salem Radio Houston on AM 1070. The Answer.
Great to have you aboard for Hour 3. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, as we're still America's first televised, complete the show from its set. It looks like Fox News in here. It's beautiful. You can always see it on 11 different platforms, including our Facebook page, Sam Malone Show. It's on Facebook Live. It's great to have him back. It's been a while. A man I have great amount of respect and admiration for. He is the United States Senator for our great state of Texas. Please welcome Senator Ted Cruz to the show. Sir, welcome back.
Thank you, Sam. Good morning. Good to be with you.
In what part of our great country are you? In D.C. now, or are you back in the States?
No, I'm actually home in Houston, which is a wonderful thing. It's nice to be able to sleep in your own bed.
Outstanding. All right, lots to cover. First of all, what's it like hanging out with the president now? Is it a good vibe? Is it fun? You punching each other in the shoulder a couple of times? You telling jokes? What are you doing?
Look, we have the opportunity, I think, to do a great deal of good. And so, you know, what's happening right now, it is rare that Republicans get the White House, every executive agency, and both houses of Congress. And Sam, what I think is critical now is that we got to deliver. And so, you know, my office is talking with the White House and with the president every day, sometimes as often as every hour. And it is dramatically different. You know, we previously had a president who was a radical leftist who embraced policies that were terrible for Texas, terrible for our country, and who didn't give a flip what Congress had to say. I will say President Trump has been very engaged with Congress. And if you look at the policies that have been enacted in these first 5 months, I think they have, by and large, been very, very strong. Whether it was the cabinet appointments, which have been really good, it's the most conservative cabinet in decades, or the executive actions and regulatory actions, which have been very strong, or Neil Gorsuch, which was a home run. And the reports are that this week President Trump will pull out of the Paris climate deal. I think that is a very good and very important step for our nation and especially for Texas.
Well, just Senator Ted Cruz with us, just the number of jobs that would be lost, the amount of money that would flow out, and the lack of enforcement. And it's a horrible deal on 3 different platforms, Senator.
You are exactly right. You know, there was a recent study by the National Economic Research Association firm that said the Paris Agreement could obliterate $3 trillion in GDP and 6.5 million industrial sector jobs, which works out to $7,000 in per capita household income gone from the American economy by 24. I mean, that's not something that our economy should endure. It's not something it would be, and by the way, for Texas, it would be particularly devastating. The estimates are that the cement industry would see its production cut by 21%, iron and steel cut by 19%, and petroleum refining cut by 11%. I mean, it is particularly punitive to the Texas economy, and it wouldn't do any good for the environment. The estimates are that the impacts on the environment would be negligible, especially since almost all of the burden is on America. Russia gets a pass, China gets a pass, India gets a pass. And so President Trump is defending the interest of our nation and defending jobs, which is what he was elected to do. And so I encourage President Trump to take this step to pull out of the agreement. And the media is pulling a tear out. The media is horrified that they're having nervous breakdowns on air. But this is a strong action to defend jobs here at home.
Amen to that, and we support that 110%. Ted Cruz, our United States Senator from Texas. Give me some updates, Senator, if you have a second. Health care came out of the House. It's hanging out with the Senate. What's the latest?
You know, I think we continue to make progress, and I believe we have to get this done. And I think failure is not an option. We've spent 7 years, Republicans have, campaigning, promising the American people, if you elect us, we'll repeal Obamacare. I think failing to do it would be catastrophic. Now, getting it done is not going to be easy. In the House, obviously, there were some serious bumps. It initially, the first time it came up, it didn't pass. And I think a big part of the reason was the process that was followed there, that the first version of the bill was drafted behind closed doors without almost no input from anybody. I think that was a serious mistake. In the Senate, we're trying to follow a very different process. And we decided to ensure from the beginning that the process was collaborative and involved the entire conference, in significant part because we've got a very narrow majority in the Senate. It's 52-48, 52 Republicans, 48 Democrats. The Democrats, unfortunately, not a single Democrat is willing to work with the Republicans on anything meaningful on health care. So we start out with 48 hard no's.
Right, exactly.
That means if we lose 3 Republicans, we're done. We've got to have a bill that can command the support of at least 50 out of 52 Republicans. Now, I think we can get there, but that is not easy. And so 3 or 4 months ago, I sat down with Lamar Alexander, the chairman of the Health Committee, a longtime Senate veteran, and he and I began talking about, okay, how do we set up a process so that we can get Obamacare repealed and fix the underlying problem? And he and I together brought together a group of 6 senators. It was Lamar Alexander and myself, Mike Lee, Rob Portman, Cory Gardner, and Tom Cotton. And that group was designed to really represent the full ideological spectrum of the Senate. It includes strong conservatives. It includes people who are more moderate. It has geographic diversity. And it also, the senators who are part of that group are smart and hardworking and willing to roll up their sleeves and actually understand a very, very complicated issue like Obamacare. We began meeting once a week in my office, my conference room, seeing if we could come to the same page on Obamacare, come together and get to yes. And my view was, if those 6 senators could come together and come to agreement, that would likely be a bill that would command the support of a majority of the conference. We met for over a month every week and had productive meetings. We're moving towards getting it done. One of the strongest signs about how well it was going is there was not a single media leak about the meetings, which frankly, in Washington is weird. Once it was clear the House was going to pass a bill, Lamar Alexander and I went to Mitch McConnell. We said, listen, we need a process to try to bring the conference together and accomplish the goal. We took our working group and we expanded it. We added a couple of other senators. We added committee leadership and committee chairman and leadership. And that's the working group now that is drafting the Obamacare repeal in the Senate. We've been meeting now twice a week.
Excellent.
And I'll say the meetings are productive. There's still a lot of work to go. We agreed we're not going to set an artificial deadline. We're going to work until we get the job done. But the central inquiry, and I think this is one of the reasons why I'm optimistic and believe we can get it done, the central focus is how do we reduce health insurance premiums? Biggest reason people are unhappy with Obamacare is premiums have skyrocketed. They've increased over $5,000 a year for the average family. We have got to lower premiums, and that's really the main thing we're discussing is what are all the tools we have to lower premiums so that Texans, so that Americans have more choices, more options, more competition, and so that health insurance is more affordable for families who are struggling.
Outstanding. Ted Cruz, our senator from Texas. And if you got another minute, let's check on the status of tax reform. We talked with our congressman from the 8th District here, Kevin Brady, chairman of Ways and Means. He was confident that this would be the year. Do you feel that way on the Senate side, that 2017 will be the year we see finally a change?
You know, I do think the prospects are looking good for tax reform. To my mind, there are 4 big priorities for 2017. Obamacare repeal, tax reform, regulatory reform, and the Supreme Court. I think Obamacare repeal and tax reform are closely interrelated. If we get Obamacare repeal done, if we accomplish the task, I think the prospects for tax reform go way, way up. On the other hand, if Obamacare crashes and burns, the chances for tax reform drop significantly. On tax reform, the conversations are in much earlier stages. There's still a lot of disagreement within the House and the Senate. But I think we can get to yes. And the advice that I've given President Trump on tax reform has been very simple. It's been 2 words: bold and simple. I think there is power to bold simplicity in tax reform. What I would ideally like to see is a simple flat tax where every American can fill out our taxes on a postcard and we can abolish the IRS. That would have tremendous impact on our economy, would create millions of new jobs, would make it much easier for American families to make ends meet, and would reduce the power of Washington dramatically. Sam, I don't know that we'll go that far, but I think our chances are good to get significant and meaningful tax reform either late this year or early next year.
Ted Cruz, our U.S. Senator, and sure, all that. Oh, all right. We could do this all day. I know you got to go. They just started playing the music. I was like, come on. All right. Don't be a stranger.
The problem when your own team is yanking you off the air.
I know, right? Come on. They didn't treat George Burns like this. We're big fans.
All you need is a cigar, and you got to be 100 years old.
Done. Look at that. You got it. Keep up the great work. We always say it's a bad day for someone when you're being questioned by Ted Cruz in the Senate or Trey Gowdy in the House, because you guys are brilliant, sharp, and masterful, and great craftsmen with words. We're big fans of yours. Don't be a stranger, okay?
You have my word on it. Thank you, Sam, and thanks for all you do.
You got it. Thank you. Our Senator Ted Cruz joining us. Sam Malone Show, AM 1070, The Answer. Back in a second.